Didn't you have the weapons in your room with you when they found you?
Just a gun.
So you weren't trying to get away with it?
The gun was to be given to somebody to clean and hide.
Who are you going to give it to?
I can't tell you that. Enough people's lives have been ruined.
You told Terry that. So someone else knew this was going to happen?
His name has never been mentioned anywhere.
It started out like any other Southern teenage romance. The pastor's daughter found a bad boy that she just couldn't resist. He was a couple of years older and didn't quite put her dad's mind at ease, but his little girl was happy. At 16 years old, it was expected for Erin Caffey to have her rebellious phase. But not quite like this.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
This is Tommy Gaston. I've got a man that's been shot.
It seemed like a relatively normal evening in Alba, Texas. But Tommy Gaston was in for the surprise of his life when his neighbor, Erin Caffey, crawled to his house barely clinging to life. The scene was horrific. In the distance, his house was engulfed by flames. Tommy immediately called 911.
All right, sir, I have a few questions that I need to ask you, okay? Is he conscious?
Yes.
And is he breathing?
Yes.
When did this happen?
I don't know, just a little bit ago. And we've also got a house on fire out here.
And the house is on fire? Is the person who shot him still nearby, sir?
Yes, he's right here at me.
You shot him?
No, I didn't. I don't know any more details. I've got to hang up and help him.
Sir, I have to ask you these questions. Okay, they're en route. Is there any serious bleeding?
Yes, he's bleeding.
Okay, is he completely awake?
Yes, he's awake.
Okay, what part of the body was injured?
I don't know, but I've got to go.
Sir, I need to know where he was shot. I need to know where he was shot at.
I don't know.
First responders rushed to the scene where they found that the truth of the incident was much darker and more twisted than they ever could have imagined. It wasn't just a man suffering from gunshot wounds, but a man who had also just watched his entire family be killed. This was no random break-in. Terry knew the assailant, and he made that clear to police. The Caffey family was the poster of a wholesome suburban family with Christian values. Terry and his wife, Penny, had 3 children together. 16-year-old Erin was their eldest and their only daughter. The boys, Matthew and Tyler, were 13 and 8. Terry was a pastor, and the Caffeys were very involved with their church. Erin sang in the church choir and often sang solos. It's been said that Erin's voice would sometimes move the church crowd to tears. Erin's rebellious phase manifested in the form of her 18-year-old boyfriend, Charlie Wilkinson. As any parent would be, Erin's parents were slightly apprehensive of him at first. Terry recalls the first time Charlie was invited over for dinner, where he was immediately left with a bad impression. Terry greeted him by saying, "You must be Charlie," to which he responded, "And you are?" Despite the rude response, this didn't initially sound too many alarms. Charlie continued to join the Caffeys for dinner, even attending church with them. Although this could seem like just a rude response or a rather benign example of defiance, it's actually a significant indication of Charlie's antisocial traits. At 18 years old, and given the fact that he was meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time, any typical teenager would have been more careful and more respectful. When responding to Terry's greeting, the fact that Charlie said, "And you are," indicates that he likely sees himself at an equal level to Erin's father. Plus, it's certainly not a friendly greeting that you would give to someone you're trying to impress. It's possible that Erin could have contributed to Charlie's confidence and lack of respect. It's possible that Erin had been speaking poorly of her family to Charlie. This could be another reason why Charlie arrived with such an arrogant attitude. As time went on, Terry and Penny noticed a change in Erin's behavior. She was closed off to everyone except Charlie. They would often seclude themselves from the rest of the churchgoers after service, and sometimes engage in public displays of affection that were seen as inappropriate for a Sunday service. The parents tried to put a stop to it by limiting the time the couple spent together. They set rules such as Charlie hanging out at their house so that they would be there to supervise. He was to leave by 9 p.m. on school nights, and Erin could use her cell phone to talk to him until 10 p.m. This didn't slow their quickly intensifying relationship, however, and Charlie bought Erin a promise ring. The fact that Erin was closed off to everyone except Charlie can be considered pretty typical of her age. Adolescents can become obsessed with a boyfriend or girlfriend and can act like there's no one else in the world besides that person. It's strange how no other behavioral descriptors are given about Erin from her parents that indicate antisocial personality disorder. Maybe Erin showed more concerning behaviors, but her parents may have minimized or dismissed them. When it was clear that the relationship would continue to cause problems as long as it went on, Penny put her foot down and said the two had to stop seeing each other. Their intentions were to keep their daughter safe, but they never could have imagined the danger that was on the horizon. The night that Terry crawled to his neighbor's house, he had seen things that were straight out of a horror movie. The Caffeys were sound asleep when Terry and Penny's bedroom door swung open with a bang. Several more loud bangs followed. Gunshots. Bullets showered the room where they had been sleeping peacefully just seconds ago. Both Terry and Penny were shot multiple times. Terry recognized the assailant with the gun. It was Erin's boyfriend, Charlie. He was accompanied by his friend who would later be identified as Charles Wade. Along with guns, they were also carrying 2 large swords. Terry was lying in his bedroom, unable to move when he heard his son, Matthew, cry out, "Why are you doing this, Charlie?" More gunshots followed. Wade had shot Matthew in the face. The fact that swords were used adds to the horrific nature of these murders, almost like Charlie and his friend Charles Wade were enjoying the process, acting like it was the scene of a movie and they were the villains, or maybe they thought of themselves as the heroes. Charlie and Wade could have committed these murders with guns alone. Swords were unnecessary to accomplish what they wanted, which displays the profoundly evil intent here. It indicates that the 2 men gained some sort of satisfaction from the process. Tyler, at only 8 years old, hid in the corner of a closet. It is unfathomable the fear that the little boy must have felt hearing his family be brutally murdered all around him at the hands of his sister's boyfriend, knowing he would be next if they found him. Tragically, Charlie and Wade found him in the closet. The pair both stabbed Tyler to death with the swords. After Charlie went back to Erin's parents' bedroom and stabbed Penny in the neck with a sword to ensure that she died, nearly decapitating her. Once the 2 were sure they'd killed everyone, they set the house on fire and drove away. They never expected that Terry would make it out of the burning house alive. Terry had been in and out of consciousness during this traumatic event. Still, Terry fought for his life to make it out of the house and to his neighbors. Everybody knew each other in Alba. It wasn't long after Terry had named the killer that the police tracked Charlie down. In fact, Chief Deputy Kurt Fisher knew him well because he was a friend of Fisher's son. On his way to the crime scene, Fisher recognized Charlie's car where it was parked at Matthew Wade's single-wide trailer. Matthew was Charles's older brother. His house became the spot where Charles and his friends could crash after a drunken night. When Fisher arrived, Matthew let the police enter the home, but he couldn't recall if Charlie had stayed the night there or not. Upon entry, the officers were faced with a mess of empty beer cans and dirty laundry. Wade and his girlfriend were woken up by the officers that were looking for Charlie. While searching the home, Fisher discovered a door frame that had been covered up with a blanket. He pulled back the blanket to discover Charlie lying on a mattress with a gun next to him. He had to be cautious. Charlie had just slaughtered an entire family. Who is to say that he wouldn't reach for the gun lying next to him and shoot? Fisher asked Charlie to show him his hands and then took the teen outside and told him what had happened to the Caffey family the night before. Charlie denied any involvement, claiming he got drunk that night and fell asleep. Because he was only wearing blue jeans, officers went inside to grab Charlie a shirt and shoes. When they retrieved his clothes, they noticed blood splatters. As he was taken away in the back of a squad car, firefighters were still struggling to smother the fire that swallowed the cafe home. Despite their efforts, the entire house burned to the ground and the bodies were eventually recovered. As police searched the trailer, they discovered a purse with Erin's driver's license, shell casings and ammunition, and a used condom. As an officer began to tear away at piles of clutter, he saw a pile of blonde hair peeking out of one of the piles and grabbed it, assuming that it was a doll. It was a teenage girl lying in a fetal position, facing away from the officer. The officer demanded she stand up and put her hands where he could see them, but she didn't respond at all. He recognized her from the driver's license. It was Erin. Immediately, Erin began asking where she was and saying that she couldn't remember how she got there. She claimed that she'd been drugged the night before and didn't have many details to offer police. She claimed that she remembered a fire, 2 men in black with swords, and drinking something. After the drink, she couldn't remember anything, and her memories of earlier in the night were also blurry. Police felt sorry for Erin and praised her strength in light of an event as traumatic as the loss of most of her family. However, as the story unraveled down at the station, it would come to light that this was not the case. Terry was certain he already knew Charlie's motive. He wanted revenge because Penny had forbidden Erin from seeing him. Charlie's version of the story, however, was not one of rage, but of his willingness to do anything for the girl he loved. He claimed that he hadn't killed the Caffey family for revenge. He did it because Erin asked him to. Back at the station, Charlie was extremely forthcoming. Although he initially wouldn't name his accomplice, eventually he cracked. It was Charles Wade. During the interrogation, the conversation went as follows.
Yes, and his name has never been mentioned anywhere.
If you're truly sorry about what happened, do you not think that to actually say who this other person was would show him that you really meant what you said?
I will tell you that he was the original person that was supposed to do it.
Are you going to tell me who it was?
No,
Why not?
because he had nothing to do with it and there's no way he could have stopped it.
Like I said, this whole interview has been about you apologizing for what you did.
Oh, I did. And I'm very sorry for what I did.
Charlie maintained his refusal to name Wade, citing a promise made. He stated, "A promise was made, and I can't break it." This appeared to be a display of loyalty or an attempt to present himself as righteous in front of the investigator. However, it was later revealed that Wade had agreed to help Charlie in exchange for $2,000 promised by Erin and Charlie. Wade intended to use this money for court fees to gain custody of his daughter. The boys were forthcoming about their acts during their interrogations, and even led the police to the evidence they had left under a bridge and in the river. According to them, Erin, Wade, and Charlie were driven to the Caffey home by Wade's girlfriend, Bobby Johnson. Although Wade claimed Bobby was unaware of their plan, she insisted on tagging along. Erin coerced Charlie multiple times, convincing him to come back and kill her parents after they were initially scared away by the family's dog. The group planned the murders in a cemetery, where Erin adamantly insisted she wanted her family dead, including her little brothers, whom she found annoying. They entered the house with a .22 caliber pistol and 2 samurai swords. Wade and Charlie executed the murders almost successfully, with Terry being the sole survivor. Charlie claimed Wade ordered him to make the kids come out of the locked room they were hiding in, and Wade immediately shot Matthew when he attempted to fight Charlie off. Charlie admitted to stabbing Tyler once but couldn't handle murdering him. During a recorded phone call from jail, Charlie confessed to his friend Brandon Breimer that he shot Erin's parents but couldn't kill the children. This phone call could have been strategically planned to claim innocence since he was already in jail and knew he would face serious charges. Despite their seemingly remorseful behavior during the interrogations, both Charlie and Erin showed no signs of backing down from their plan. Brandon described Charlie as happy-go-lucky before the murders, possibly because everything was already planned. Wade recalled Erin being elated and relieved after confirming her family was dead. They celebrated their successful mission by disposing of evidence and sleeping together. Bobby eventually confessed to everything when she learned the police had already arrested the boys. However, Erin continued to deny her involvement, sticking to her story of memory loss. Despite having every reason to stop visiting Erin, Terry continued to see her, fighting for her early release. Erin was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences plus 25 years for capital murder on January 2, 2009. Charlie and Wade were both given life without the possibility of parole, and Bobby was sentenced to 40 years. As of 2021, Erin is 29 years old and will not be eligible for parole for another 30 years. Charlie Wilkinson and Charles Wade will spend the rest of their lives in prison, facing the consequences of their cruel actions.